Hello, there are Wethersfield police who are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involve racketeering with programs that are shared by other nations and military, foreign and domestic. There's where the Wethersfield police are now, and where they used to be next to the building of the Wethersfield Library. Recorded and confessed a whole bunch of people tied to two Mendez police, falsified police reports, fake recorded things, racketeering associated with. Now their location is across the street from a Taekwondo place. I don't know if it's still there. These are also people racketeering roles with the new and past location of an Arch Pizza, recorded and confessed involved with like a military police with the foreign racketeering. Also tied to a kid with big calves and their uses of racketeering with ad companies, with the media, with the preventing free speech. They've been preventing me free speech. There's a Justin Klavinskis and a Lucinda also recorded and confessed crimes with people with that Taekwondo place with the corners. I don't know what the kid's face looks like. I just remember when I was at the one time I ever saw a Lucinda, I forgot her name. I don't know. I never had her in class. She's married to a, a Justin Levinskis, and his brother is associated with people my. So I never saw him. I saw him like in a car, and one time in my area. Besides that, never tried to contact him in my life. See, they attached me to fake locations with those people growing up. His brother and their families involved with military people with all kinds of interbranch racketeering, prison cliques, and like the people who run them include people who run fire department campuses, people enter on and off Trinity College, on and off CCSU, on and off UConn, on and off Middlesex Community College, on and off interstates colleges, worse than interstates maintaining criminally foreign influence originally still. And worse than it's identity racketeering. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a police foreman, I'm not a criminal. These are people also involved with recorded crime methods that vertical and horizontal, where they use lawyers to defend fake sides of fact treatment nature that are tied to misprision life progressions and life progression cover up nature's needs and styles. For example, in relationship to black and white. So obviously, and in math treatments, originally and still, worse than having forsaken America's obligations to demonstrate how a job, just having a job as value is not value, especially when we have a recorded extortion methods vertically and horizontally associated with exploitation of whatever they were doing through time with the Taekwondo place with the Koreans and with other nations that are victims, with a whole bunch of nations here originally and still never liberated, victim predators, though, as fact treatment nature. Every modern nation is an identity of negative value nature progression as the value of our species nature or volume, which is not let its free speech. There's a difference between scientific consensus and scientific process. See, we have a scientific process involved with racketeering with former director of the FBI down with these people, the same ones, with the daughter of a federal criminal co-defendant of his. Hope these this is Wethersfield and his Connecticut on and off state judicial branch offices, a Fienza family, a whole bunch of people on and off two rod highway, on and off Hangdog Lane through time, racketeering with a whole bunch of people on and off the state judicial branch offices, on and off house at the right before the bridge at the end of that street, right before the state judicial branch office, with people perpendicular streets from there, racketeering with them roles, all with houses in my area slash S since I was a kid, and the confessions and demonstrations and communications, because they're also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. They want to make time treatments used too fast, too slow, all ways to pretend they don't realize the integrity of each branch individually together and group sick predators. For these are other natures of gun crime roles, of violence crime roles that are also misprision racketeering natures as fact treatment nature racketeering originally still fake science, free speech. So WFSB stole my identity with a whole bunch of people associated with foreign and domestic families, on and off the state judicial branch racketeering with this Fianza family, with WFSB retired and standing. Their roles with state police recorded with racketeering, uses of various natures of overt criminal enterprises undercover, where they have that recorded used as racketeering in conjunction with the time used too fast, too slow in courts that were preventing mandated law originally and still. See, we have to counter the judicial branch preventing mandated law and their crime methods to do it. They are silent killers. And every exception is in demonstration of it, too. Every time they open their mouths, everyone, originally and still. It's that simple. You're entertaining the long term of black and white. What that was stuck in there to show to prevent. You're entertaining slavery. You're entertaining value nature systems never liberated. Oh, that's all right. No, it's all right if you want to have some people, but money doesn't lead. And it's all right if you want to say that, but then allow someone to demonstrate where that's stepping on our feet. You stole my identity, WFSB, with a principal sex offender to force him sustained, especially if that was made up. Because these are the people with a whole bunch of people tied to CCSU. That everyone's speaking through other people. So you're not gonna, if you try to, if you just mind your business, you're a good person, they're gonna hurt you. If you try to talk, to counter, see, these are perfected crime methods. Now, there's a whole bunch of people I don't know the name of, recorded and confessed and demonstrated time criminal uses of that. Kid, I don't even know what the face of his looked like. He was older than me, I believe. I don't know. Like when I was in high school, I don't know what grade it was in. I think it was in senior year. Or so anyway, I don't even know if he was a student because I don't even know if Joe DeMora went to my school. I don't remember in my class one time a teacher told me to do amazed by him. Mr. Abruzzi also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated part of the racketeering with CCSU involved with former director of the FBI. That kid's recorded, confessed, that is an officer now, but he's recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, and involved with all kinds of racketeering acts with evidences, with databases at schools, with a whole bunch of people on off CCSU, on off Trinity College, facilitated the racketeering with judges, uses of those schools, with their police forms, interbranch, military, foreign, and domestic. They're preventing me. They're doing sequence racketeering tricks. They know they recorded and confessed and demonstrated what me and a whole bunch of other people asked to have, tried to have countered a whole bunch of different ways, which is courts that are confessed and demonstrated through other people they're talking to, and then they confirmed it, recorded it, involved all kinds of needs from these. In other words, they're stacking strangers against people that they know what you look like. They're already pretended it to fake you and others to fake conversations, fake locations. They're attaching little kids to fake locations, worse than what the principal sex offender was put in prison for. And his doctors and those courts were already involved with that racketeering acts in a pattern, vertically and horizontally, with databases leading up to the Trade Center and since it. Criminal uses of media locations, everyone speaking through other, recorded and confessed their involved identity racketeering. They attach people to fake conversations with them so they can hide the life aggressions of all kinds of racketeering with prosecutors, with judges through time. Uses of each of the identity of the ground to keep originally and still. Criminal uses of what the pathology of everything of infrastructure was forced for with the fact cheap nature slavery of our founders, as science using scientific process actually reveals. See, which is the science's sharing identity, and it demonstrates that they were needing to react to predicate acts and not knowing how properly, and that's because they already lost the integrity of the scientific method that ancients had revealed using scientific process before internation scientists became criminally foreign influenced, specifically to affect them to affect the species volume. Um, inherited with words told to the youth, not trusting it. So degrading the long word, the protraction of correlation nature, which has each individual nature or volume simultaneously as a sex, nature, a group, age, area, a group, not just sex. That comes down to physics, the difference between sex, which is one identity and demonstration of what only fills one nature or volume, that which has the value of bonded matter of temporary slash lasting value, gaining value. It's a nature of volume that only gains. Now, even the rock is dead. The rock is no, but it's one body's finite. The smallest thing in our body has two things next to it, smaller than small, as the same thing that is bigger than everything. Even all identities of value progression at once, grouped and individually, as all space nature, it is bigger than that. Even only a semi nature of itself is bigger than that. It generated it. And this is it shows you this. And because that semi nature is the only thing that is bonding, is just an extent that's bonding to and as the value of one identity of relationship to itself, and the value of that. The value of that shows where that semi nature that bonds all individual grouped into and all identities of value progression at once by a semi nature of itself, it also has that bonded simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly onto and as the value of its complete relationship to itself, the nature of volume that is even bigger than that. In other words, we're each part of our nature is a semi-nature to our identity. That identity is a semi-nature. Each person's complete identity is a simultaneously an unceasing quality of diffusion, semi-nature relationship to the only complete identity, and the only complete identity's identity of relationship to itself, which through the semi-nature of itself is non-distinctly its relationship to us as a simultaneous nature, because it's gaining the way it's gaining as without nature through the complete nature identity of relationship to itself. That is to that, and then through that, see what will only remain the order of the finite, the value of sequence before, while being that, the value of what is active, and with the value of what is progressive simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly. Also, further by and as an identity of positive that science shows is also active from beyond our control, while here, still in relationship to it. In other words, we have to have the difference too between logic, the pathology of logic as our nature with no criminal foreign influences, especially legalized one, because now you're a criminal insidious nature since semi-ancient times, and you're talking about jobs, America, with your American history still stolen overtly and simultaneously, insidiously in your face, and with that, and everyone valuing that. What that is valued in relationship to is phenomena. Our founders didn't have free speech. Everyone was painted. So if they try to counter that, where they could see who's gonna who to beat next. who to make an example of next. Doesn't matter if you're king, doesn't matter if you're distinctly and non distinctly, they have each position of the human fact should be nature unfree. Distinctly and non distinctly, effectively, they have each position of the human fact should be nature valuing the causes that having been and being blamed on other things other than themselves, all frustrated knaves. Before they would, in other words, before you could, they will contemplate countering quality of fact should be nature that are styles of convictions. You can't, no, AB, you can't defend that and us from what exploits time too fast, too slow, getting over on forever nature with every formal fact sheet in nature position, originally and still. So a whole bunch of people from my town involved with the Taekwondo place have racketeering acts roles with the police station where it is there and now, with houses like with the Smith family behind me, diagonally, involved with a Clow family that came in when I was in sixth grade, and it was years ago. I don't even know. I don't think he's living. I don't know. Mr. O'Brien, Mr. O'Brien, and their kids, Andy O'Brien, Tim O'Brien, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, involved with all kinds of detectives and people with congressional building and their racketeering acts roles with a whole bunch of overt criminal enterprises juxtaposed. So now they're using the identity of them sickly and non distinctly hurt victim predators as fact sheet nature for what is maintaining them propagated for the undercover with them used for a racketeering method originally instilled to keep them a natural volume, to keep them needing to that they could keep needing to hide lies individually grouped and together, lies from the whoever is the leader perpetually as state scenarios and all database relationships, clicks, criminally foreign influence used remotely, effectively since ancient times. Each modern nation, the identity of each nation altogether too. Altogether, the leader, grouped, and individual, and all that's on top of it, all together in each actual individual value. Which, if a value is not coming from outside government, at the same time, it's not real value, it's negative value nature. They maintain negative value nature, progression, action natures, self value. Just by having animals need a place to go, but without needs for taxes, the whole world would help. And you could design what people could live in where they're desperate, even though we have machines, not by accident, because they stuck everyone into a pathology that is only capable of being suits and ties fraud, being suits and ties fake, in criminal assistance nature, positive. Now that can't defend itself and afford the protraction of all that is discernible with sequence true. And as logic's actual words, but by experts of it, actual. See, I'm not a doctor, thank God. I'm not a lawyer, thank God. Not a police form, not interbranch, thank God. Because they're involved with sequence racketeering. Uses of media, all identity, the ground locations already. They are already standing live progression, cover up nature needs styles, using methods, pretending, oh, it's politics. That's the politics. Read the law. They know those laws are criminally foreign influence because exceptions to the laws, they're built on that. Exploitations of it. Uses of the weapons of state, of time, more sickly than overt criminal enterprises. Many ways. And that they're the only reason such is maintained. Now I don't know. There are a whole bunch of people from CCSU recorded, confessed, and demonstrated They pretend they acted things so they can pretend to have things recorded by people, former director of the FBI, CIA, their family members, state police, a whole bunch of doctors attaching little kids to fake locations, crimes with their patients and criminals before they went in there. It's got a whole bunch of times about how they had DACA. Wethersfield Police and New Britain Superior Court recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with identity racketeering, where they take pictures of me and they're making fake YouTube pages, fake Facebook pages. They take even the picture they got from WFSB, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering with a whole bunch of people on and off the state judicial branch with them, and with their stealing me to fake words. Men and women also involved with the foreign and domestic and the people on intercities, like on and off the locations of WFSB, involved with state police and with foreign and domestic families, involved racketeering with Arch Pizza. I'm sorry, Arch Pizza, I don't know you guys. Those people involved with the judges' police forms, interbranch police forms, private and stuff like that, all involve racketeering because they're needing to hide lie progressions, needing to hide identities as they were criminally influenced to, criminally hurt to, criminally persuaded to, worse. Pretend identities have value like the FBI, they never did. They're involved with sequence racketeering with the elections to keep this outcome. Whoever's going to be the chief is going to be an extorted body of free speech, forced it, and differentially. But free speech is they're preventing the sequence racketeering acts and roles, and pretending you're supposed to pretend the identity of the defend the identity of the FBI, because these are people with the private trade agreements, are only counters, where they're sick everywhere in hundreds of nations at once, but they're all needing to pretend they're positive too, because then they're trying to negotiate through branches sick. They're incapable of doing justice. They already were valuing misprision lie progressions from misprision criminality acts and crime methods and actually recorded natures interbranch with fact sheeping natures, all tied to it. Can't defend that and be anything but a lie progression. So I don't even know all the names of especially the kid I got in a fight with right around the corner at that one time. When I was that was when I was a freshman, I believe. I could have been a sophomore. I don't know, but those are all people with confessions tied to a Taekwondo place, and that's where the other stores and houses near where the police chief, where the police building is now, and where it used to be a whole bunch of people forging names, switching names. They only have one officer named McGee, but they have more than three, or at least three, that are pretending to be him, with a whole bunch of falsified police reports, with a whole bunch of police forms and family members intercities. Also because of the racketeering uses of East Hartford through time. All kinds of intercities racketeering with all the private programs tied to the courts as alternatives prisons, and those prison cliques are involved with crimes with their patients and overt criminal enterprises, uses of the witness protection program by the stewards of it for racketeering with vertical horizontal database illusion stacking that is simultaneously sick abuses of each age of fact sheeping nature. They are preventing free speech, so for their evidence is racketeering again, using time always too fast, too slow, so they can use recorded crime methods. And they confessed, demonstrated, and so also communicated that they, it's like, for example, if I say communicated, they say, oh, that's demonstrated. That's not communicated. That's racketeering here, using time too fast, too slow. They're preventing mandated law, preventing counters to media that's stealing our identities, that's faking falsified police reports, that's faking witnesses, testimony, especially the interbranch ones. Whole bunch of people tied to a former Mayor Gold, standing mayors, We don't have legal representation originally, and still Fox Connecticut News being coached with their roles with the racketeering with CNN. Um, a whole bunch of people with the intelligence community through time, victim predators. Originally, still, that's why I have suits and ties. Now I'm trying to make fun of people, trying to show that they don't have the integrity they have. The only reason we have statutes that tell them to ignore things like that is because on a mass scale, we have criminally foreign influence takes on American history. They left our founders' identity stolen. So we have that used by criminally foreign influence takes on Marbury versus Madison, therefore demonstrably recorded, criminally foreign influenced, preventing free speech, using styles like pretending, oh, they don't even know what the Constitution says, like what amendment is what? Free speech. Marbury versus Madison, real justice must be real justice. That's what it should say. No word. Must satisfy all appearances of true justice. We have sequence racketeering. We have Fox Connecticut News recorded, demonstrated, being coached to further a whole bunch of natures of crimes, and forcing people also time used all ways too fast, too slow, so they could criminally pretend that they're not criminally preventing mandated law. Women judges forging names and switching names. Roles with state's attorneys forging names, switching names. Falsified police reports. Racketeering with police forms intercities, foreign and domestic. On and off CCSU. Criminal justice programs. On and off Wesleyan College. Whole bunch of people with a Phil Cololo and with these Mendez police involved with Wesleyan College, racketeering uses of the sensibilities of everyone with their treatments of Hamilton, for example, racketeering right through administrations. Think they didn't lie to President Obama, especially if he's looking right there. Only a liar could say that America was ever liberated. Only. In other words, these are not means. We have cars now. We have the pathology of infrastructure. Everyone could see but not fathom how to counter with all fake. The people stacking on mass scales. They say, what do they say? Oh, but it's community. It shows people to get a bit together. Mind your business. So we have all kinds of racketeering natures with psychology. A whole bunch of nations shared sick with this. Pulling them into that. That's in other words, we have. That's why we have pathology of all these bombs and things like that, because each science is criminally foreign influence in every modern nation. We're in an identity of negative value, nature, progression, and demonstration of that. And they're standing lie progressions and lie progression cover up natures and needs and styles as the only formal fact treatment natures, as all tied to them in collusion. How they maintain this outcome is recorded, but free speech. It's not. I'm not trying to talk about debatable. You guys are using. Then you hear me say that, then you guys start using the word debatable criminally, because you guys are sequence racketeering natures. You follow mandated law. Now pick one name and sequence into branch while getting down. We need federal stewardship of Connecticut. I don't have to keep begging for you to fix the goddamn fake news crime acts, various natures of crime acts. They also recorded using that to stack a whole bunch of people that I don't even know. Now, they have to lie about where I raised my voice too. And I did that purposely for them. They recorded themselves, confessed, recorded, and demonstrated with a whole bunch of people tied to Sean Dillon, Kevin Dillon, Anna Dillon, racketeering roles with my new and past neighbors, as their roles with them with real estate, crimes with judges with them, with kids in the area, with child sex offenders further and tied to the principal sex offenders campus. Also note the Wethersfield police chief's daughter there. Also note the racketeering where they were with time right through administrations. They're pretending they're about elections. Oh, the racketeering method of pretending, oh, the voters think this, they're going to have this impression or that impression, so we just speak for that. They're offensively pretending to perceive things while they're racketeering roles with all kinds of fake things being put into databases. We have sick natures of fake punks, and with the shared policing of stores. We have a Jerry Kerr, also further, his other family members, his brother, further confessed and recorded involved with a house in my area involved with the stewards of the witness protection program, also having facilitated that, used, leveraged for roles with the child defenders through time for vertical and horizontal database solution stacking racketeering, foreign and domestic military, criminal uses of deans, forging and switching names, because their roles with agencies originally and still incapable of defending their identities and us at the same time. So self-valuing statutes and precedents that are right, that they have to counter how hundreds of nations are native at once. So the only way we can get counters to all kinds of sick things, fact treatment nature wise, in other words, peacefully only relationship to crazy, unfathomable, unneeded too. The species volume longs free speech now too. Also, these are people using violence. They're stealing the identities. Like if you try to do a sport, we have violence already as a value having been used by all the psychology, all the lawyers, all the people associated with each branch of government individually together, and still racketeering natures, racketeering methods, whole methods recorded, like pretending to be about voting what the polls say the people are going to be about. Those polls and statistical representation campuses like those campuses involved with that's how they keep the states and areas criminally foreign influence, opinion natures, all liars originally and still, all scientific consensus used for fact treatment nature racketeering, formal and live progressions from those spots to all areas already having been valued for worse than forsaken. See, they sustain this what they're doing through the grammar schools because they already did that in the past. They put illusions in the minds of the kids to make them think they were in locations and or in classes with people they weren't, and or in conversations with people that were in their classes that weren't. And they're exploiting that through time. A whole bunch of people tied to a Leahy family with identity racketeering, male racketeering, crimes with various natures of courts, judges and prosecutors retired and standing, and prison cliques, and themselves involved racketeering with their prisoners and patients before they were in their stewardships. Their racketeering roles with foreign and domestic, with fire departments, with the shared campuses, all kinds of racketeering with psychology, with Russians and Americans, with the election crimes racketeering, and recorded racketeering methods of pretending to be against what they're for at the same time, because because of the uses of their misprision criminality that they're preventing mandated law originally still from demonstrating. So there's a whole bunch of people through time associated with the Taekwondo place, associated with impositions upon nations like Korea, every nation, because of psychology, because of its roles with jobs and with value nature systems where it owes more than we goddamn need. So we also need mental health for people who have mental health, not because they're of biological illness, because of the pathology of juxtaposed fake care and of sick predator uses of sick fake justice, fake righteousness, juxtaposed and focused upon people stacking horizontally, like on Park Street. All kinds of racketeering with various natures of courts, with that, and with the narratives, with the different cultural cliques. So that's tied to there and here, suits and ties. Racketeering, fake nations with hiding how everyone lets psychology think for them as criminal and seditious nature, as roles with all kinds of racketeering originally and still, because that brought us into World War One. But we don't have that. We have that self-value, not the breaching roles originally still with our American history. We don't have free speech. We don't have a scientific process. And all roles with that reliant upon the racketeering method. Hundreds of nations use it at the same time. They blame other nations. They all pretend at once not to realize hundreds of nations sick punk fakes together. All criminally using crime methods, fact cheap nature racketeering. That's what when you use color, that's fact cheap nature racketeering. We're motivated that. That's identity to ground, relationship to a racketeering. They knew they were going to have that nature's going to keep demonstrating negative value nature progressions since some ancient times. Why would someone do that? They propped it up onto a value nature system to make that self value. But why would someone do that? Because they could control the life progressions only capable from and as the identity of each branch, from and as each individual grouped and all together in that. Sophistication contained originally and still. We don't have sophistication. We have, and then we need to say, oh, look at we have these bombs with the best new military. That's not sophistication. That's just riding what the Native Americans did damage control, not even realizing, because they were already separated from their ancient quality of education when the species were working as one. We have all kinds of of broken grammar school, high sophistication, forced respected that way. Now let demonstrate because we don't have free speech. They're all using scientific consensus, pretending not to realize, getting over on actual science. So these are extortion roles, and these are methods that are recorded consciously, sustaining people free, not allowed free speech. Then they can pretend the various natures of courts already hurt. They're already recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involve worse than extortion with the crime method of pretending, oh, get a job. When they have job in their mouth, they know that they're involved with extortion. They know that they were already recorded, involved with pretending to perceive things and pretending things were recorded into databases. High predators. And see, that's their motivations for the racketeering roles with the body dumping spots, real or made up. They have them involved racketeering with child sex offenders. Retired and standing mayors involved with this. Washington, D.C., Trade Center. They don't care. They value how the only counters to things like nuclear weapons, to things like hundreds of nations sharing agreements with medical locations where we have things that could be connected for great evil. They need great evil. Sustained. They need original negotiated with still. Worse than terrorism. It's not population. Admitting it, we could afford to build levels of infrastructure of relationship to nature. People don't even have to see each other. And where and how people would be evolving value really positive. People learn how to fight. We're all win when you're making quality of fact cheaping nature better and better as forever nature's course. All drop the force, boxing. Recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. Facebook is involved with elections racketeering. All kinds of, see, they have all treatments of each identity of the law, originally and still involved with a racketeering method that has people indifferent to the crime methods of pretending, oh, well, that's just my job. I'm this type of law expert. They're staying roles with the sequence racketeering where the various natures of courts were already involved with all the racketeering with other nations, with what's really keeping the real negative value nature progressions acts of natures and keeping them blamed on other things others themselves. Acts like predicate acts, natures like criminal and seditious natures, wrongdoers, mass wrongdoing, mass criminal and seditious natures. When everyone speaks, uses the word politics. The recorded criminally foreign influence delusions wrought with free speech, fixed WFSPs, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved with with Fox Connecticut News. They play a game where their extortion of the quality of free speech of leaders grouped and together individually. They're investing, it's disgusting. Free speech. Let me show you how to react when people with New Britain Superior Court, KNERR is the last name, involved with Facebook racketeering with elections, their roles with child sex, with child sex offenders to hide the live progressions. A whole bunch of people tied houses in my area. A whole Dillon family. They bring and with the whole extended family members, like a Phil Colo and other people involved with him with identity racketeering, identity thefts. Now these are people with physical delusions and sick, ill natures, but they have badges. And these are racketeering roles with all kinds of natures of doctors and various a whole bunch of people associated with New Britain Superior Court and with state judicial branch office and forensics associated with them, associated with a whole bunch of people racketeering with them in the past, pretending to meet at fake locations, fake conversations with people that my neighbor used to hang around with, but not me. And not at all. In most cases, I don't even know half the people in my grade. My police chief's daughter was in my grade. I never knew that, and I never had a class with her, and I never had anything to do with. Never saw him on campus one time. Um, Reno Mazzucato, Joe Aiello. The only time I ever saw him on campus was one time, and it was like so that was his roles then with the people that were through time with the sequence shifts and with the identity thefts and with the racketeering with intercampuses. He's involved. In other words, former director of the FBI down also had one of his co-defendants in a 2006 case who had a daughter in my grade. Never had a class for her. And there's an Eric Jensen who always also lived in Newington, but he went to my high school in Wethersfield. Also recorded, confessed to demonstrating involved racketeering with people on and off the state judicial branch office, on and off, whole bunch of people tied to that, on and off locations down the street from there, both directions. Wethersfield Pizza. These are people racketeering. Wethersfield police, other people, other nations recorded, confessed, demonstrated racketeering uses of DACA. They're pretending to be me and making and complaining about DACA. I'm not bringing that up. They're trying to do that because they're trying to hide. These are people, Joe DeMoro, recorded, confessed, a whole bunch of people associated with Trade Center, racketeering families. In other words, victims. Everyone's speaking through other, but that used for racketeering, for sequence shifts. These are people that were racketeering also in the Trade Center attack context and interstates from Connecticut. First with the horizontal and vertical database solution stocking. Horizontal because that kept and keeps live progressions needed. There's a theater in the suburbs. There's a sensibility of there's a depth of reality that people will go to, but as total BS, fake reality. There's delusions wrought, criminally foreign influenced information originally still in the suburbs, distinctly from how it is in every nature of city. Every geographical difference is built by this that's exploiting the value of the identity of the grounds relationship to our quality of fact, treatment nature, and with sequence truth. So we have a bunch of ways law at all these law colleges, Yale, for example, is involved with this racketeering. A whole bunch of people associated with the Shoup family, with probate courts, superior courts, Connecticut District Court, all on off the state judicial branch offices in my town, on off the state prison offices in my town, involved that this same database racketeering. It has the identity of each modern nation needed to defend itself, where and as and how it counts, with fact cheaping nature, but incapable of doing so methodically, effectively, originally, and still. You can't entertain what they say. What they say means what? Oh, this means this, so this is true. We have sick justice. We have to deal with the recorded mandated law and identity racketeering roles and crime methods of the various natures of courts involved with the intercampuses of each age and nature connected database of vertical and horizontal database illusion stacking. Crime methods pretending not to understand what people say and faking recorded things with all kinds of police forms. Now, there are two Mendez police, and there are a whole bunch of people with the name Vega, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with racketeering with a whole bunch of state police forms, former director of the FBI, a whole bunch of retired and standing judges, and their police forms, leading up to and in the Trade Center attack context, in a path of other roles with other natures of racketeering. They have all kinds of, every time they open their mouth, the media about things like real problems, and then they have the victims of those problems relying upon people that are furthering those problems because these people are racketeering roles with their patients and criminals before they're arrested, like the principal sex offender. That those Connecticut courts are also used for criminal uses of depositions, like and uses of courts with that. They offered my father to have my father's a pro se plaintiff. He won an NLRB case years ago, but that led to a pro se RICO suit, which is a labor suit against former director of the FBI, and his roles with a whole bunch of people that went to that were used for federal crimes at each of the campuses I went to, also with federal crimes and criminal uses of the locations next to it, and how that is through the sensibilities of intelligence families and of foreign and domestic, all private with that mixed. It doesn't matter. No, but these badges are worthless. These are just people faking things into databases, forging and switching names. The state's attorney's office is also recorded and confessed and demonstrated and involved with all kinds of programs with the schools, foreign and domestic shared, racketeering with a taekwondo place, and with people associated with the Arch Pizza, with a Bonin family, and with the Stillen family, and with the Fienzas with them, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involve also crimes with body dumping spots, real or made up. The one of the serial killer, and the one of the Billy Grasso. Whole bunch of people with the Kerr family recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. This is a stranger who made confessions to me, and then they had Miss Prisian, they had a Joe DeMoro, a Mike Kerr, and a Ray Colo pretend things like as at the two times at the corner when I was a kid, at the corner of when I was in middle school. This is tied to two times Debbie Gold did this. Approached me acting. And so, and I figured this out because then they did the same thing. Joe Aiello, I didn't even know who it was then. And later, these are the people he's involved, confessed and recorded, involved now with racketeering with a former Mayor Gold, and further with the principal child offenders. But I can't, and with people with the state forensics building labs, uses of the state police in my area, and all the way, and with that, everyone's speaking through other people. There are places at the end of Town Line Road recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. A whole bunch of people with a prone family and some girl I don't even know. They also did something years ago that is connected to them now with further wire racketeering and mail racketeering, mail crimes, forging names and switching names into branch. Now that's with the mobile gas station. It's with that little bar across the street from it. And these are the shared policing of the stores, intercities. These are also people racketeering with the locations around religious spots. You know, these are people pretending to. They also have all kinds of racketeering with medications, and the doctors associated with that who are sick with the kids pretend they have integrity. Or that women roles with that. Women doctors involve racketeering acts with women judges, with child sex offender principal of campus, all kinds of other natures of racketeering with that, and with uses of the houses around it through time. All kinds of other natures, all the sick crimes in Wethersfield have connections too through time. I just remind. Whole bunch of people tied to Joe DeMoro, a Mr. Abruzzi. And, and I only saw him like one time on campus. I remember. And then that was it. So I don't even know if he was even because we have police forms with this also associated with the Congress and with the judges. In other words, they're mixed. They don't have judicial independence. They don't have individually grouped and together. They are racketeering natures, worse than sick, overt criminal enterprises. Keeping that the outcome because of how they were kept. So there were a whole bunch of people tied to this taekwondo place and to racketeering with Klovinskis and with military families associated with my area. They had that I didn't know what that make when if I say that it makes it sound like I knew them before I met them actually. That's why they put them in classes with me and had with the kid from Newington in my class, Eric Jensen. Further recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved criminal uses of houses on each side of a pond feature in my area. Each identity of the ground location they used criminally through time. There are neighbors of Marco Mancini and himself recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by his friends. See, everyone's speaking through others, but I have to. I wouldn't bring up Marco Mancini and his brothers also associated with the casinos. See, but and you know those casinos, those victims too. I'm not going to fight with them though about how with it, um reactions to it. I need to just defend my own identity. So we have them with all kinds of people with CCSU involved with all kinds of racketeering uses of each of the gyms, the boxing gyms, each of the regular gyms, each of the locations of the ground. All gather around. See, these Mendez brothers also pretended me to fake locations and had racketeering roles with wire crime method, like with people that with the AT&T, with the FBI. A whole bunch of people with the FBI tied to a whole bunch of kids, each of the grades I went to, who had federal crimes with co-defendants, confessed, recorded, and demonstrated. Federal co-defendants, a former director of the FBI. But see, that's why they won't give anyone a response, and they use crime methods like with the misprision, influencing to pretend to perceive and to pretend to record and to act in relationship to that. In other words, we're not they're not just falsified police reports, mail crimes, wire crimes with the media too. It's way worse. So we need to have, and they recorded, they stacked the natures of crimes and the amounts of people with other people's names, and they criminally pretend that means that the other person's wrong. I didn't tell WFSB to steal me to fake words, attach me to fake relationships to doctors when I was a kid, fake relationships to mental diagnosis. They did that as an adult too. They forged names, switched names, because I had to raise my voice because of the everyone. There's a Dillon family that's recorded, confessed, and demonstrated through time. He has other people make confessions, and then he announces that it's him. He was involved with it. He's the person involved with racketeering. See, now we've been trying to do peace with North Korea all this time, and with South Korea, what's peace? They're still racketeering roles with psychology against their own and against our own. They're still racketeering roles with shared roles with the facades of businesses of means to them, with every fact cheaping nature value. Not one modern nation is free. Modern nations are in an identity of negative value nature progression. And so we don't have a nation capable of anything but further elections racketeering. And we don't have news anything but roles. So why should I have to be talking about? I want to help South Korea and North Korea. When you but I want to help America. But you can't help when each side's a fake side. That's one identity of negative value nature progression, self-made, self-valued that way. Through this filter of what kept and keeps every place used remote this way. Recorded. We don't have mandated law followed here and there. We have sick punk fakes with psychology. Boxings. We have sick punk fakes with life progressions, criminal serious nature, valued, legalized. That's recorded. We have criminal uses originally still of lawyers defending their types of the law. Oh, that was which was provided. I'm just trying to get my thing and do my job. Follow mandated law then. Boxings. It tells us things. The Trinity was long forsaken, well and hard. You'll see. Let's sequence free. See, we have sequence racketeering roles, fake sides. We have recorded them using the right to lie criminally, having used it already. So they're using like fake sides weaponized against each position by individuals and against leaders. And they can't say anything because they have to go for their bases because the only help with those bases came through these schools as that roles, not by accident, souls. So we have extortion racketeering that is from off campuses maintained on off campuses, confessed, demonstrated, communicated, recorded, maintained, uses of everyone speaking through they're lying to themselves and others about passions and emotions. And they're preventing mandated law to have this demonstrated because they're forging names, switching names. They have a whole bunch of people with the name Alicia with CCSU racketeering with a whole bunch of other nations on and off CCSU leading up to and in the Trade Center attack context, with each value treatment at the Trade Center level, with their uses of each forsaken area by the same sick people. Sammy Vega. The Vegas associated with the media, with the state's attorney's office, recorded and confessed and demonstrated a part of racketeering with judges retired and standing with people on off the Wethersfield Police, where it is now and where it was then, where it was when passed, next to the library building, involved with this further criminally. A whole bunch of other nations like Pakistan recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with sick people with state police racketeering also with them. Other nations, police from CIA recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering. Fake conversations with me about the CIA, forging fake conversations at all. I never had a conversation with the two Brendan Leahys. These are people involved with racketeering with a principal sex offenders campus through time. We have women doctors, real sick people. They can't defend their logic and put it on paper and afford to have it on paper at the same time. The media is recorded using a crime method of offensively pretending other with those people after they already criminally stole people's identity to fake things because they had high lie progressions. WFSB's recorded, confessed, demonstrated racketeering acts rolled with prosecutors and with the state's attorney's office in collusion with them and with Sandy Hook, Newtown, on and off the state prison offices, all racketeering the uses of the same house in my area. /S. Direct and indirect criminal uses of the witness protection program with this too. Direct and indirect criminal uses of the serial killer, of the locations of his bodies by the same people involved with the racketeering with this each campus I went to, each age of it, how they're connected to it, to the motivations they really have is recorded too. So we have a whole bunch of people associated with Eric Mendez and with the Janito Mendez and with his family and with a Marisol. There's a Marisol also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with this. So we have foreign and domestic, real sick people with the kids, with badges, and with gavels, and with guns. And with the overt criminal enterprises also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering acts, roles, and natures with locations on and off Fox Connecticut News. Also, they have they have like people associated with Social Security with racketeering with them, forging names, switching names, putting fake people onto Social Security criminally, pretending, doing uses of such as the people involved racketeering with various natures of courts and Justice Department racketeering. All that's associated with them, private and other, leading up to and in the Trade Center attack context. And since these are worse than war crimes because these are fake sides that keep those sides defended far short. The defended never liberated, far short of being capable of demonstrating that and of countering the actual our nature's America's and every nation the same thing. The identity of their nation's exploitation, the identity of what they call jobs, the identity of what connects all values, why we have value discernment. So we are in a trap. Not one has spoke for white or black, and that's forced multi-front. Well, you speak for white. The we have that forced self-value because we have black and white agencies already propagated, the only capable of defending their identities, reliant upon fake sides, reliant upon exploitations of that. When you see that they need each age of fact sheet major through these campuses, private campuses are involved with the racketeering with the public schools and vice versa. This is true conversely. So I need a response. We have the town offices also involved elections racketeering. Therefore, all these natures of racketeering, all these methods and natures recorded, stacking names. Everyone should be. We don't have integrity to our intelligence community. We have a whole bunch of Wethersfield police recorded, confessed, to demonstrate a whole bunch of natures of racketeering with a Scalora family also. Whole bunch of people tied to the house /ish in my area, racketeering through time with their extended family members, fake locations, racketeering with judges, racketeering with judges, with their courts, with prosecutors, long-standing and newer, recorded and confessed and demonstrated, apart with racketeering. A whole bunch of people from my town, on state judicial branch offices. Again, it worse than intercities maintained effectively how motivated, needed to hide each other's live aggressions, how everyone's threatening each other because they're using and having used the weapons of state, including the gavel, including time, especially free speech. Again, the phrase scientific consensus originally and still is recorded, used to keep states and areas criminally foreign influenced, keep sciences criminally foreign influenced. The news is here. So WFSB is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering with a whole bunch of people through administrations. You know how many people work for the military? And we have this Dillon family is worthless. Respond for them and my new neighbors. Give me their name. Playing these games with names, crimes with judges with them, and with these. And let's get them to. These are various natures of courts. They're preventing mandated law this way when we report. Let's get it done. We have more with the campuses, intercities. Forget about just my city. It's not just my city. We have further on off the schools recorded involved with the racketeering. There's connections with that. Now, so we have also recorded, used originally, and still the sophistication of levels of what is classified and what is not. The whole range of that sophistication originally still is worthless. Fall, find the seed. CT, that's why Connecticut. That's why George Washington had to come right here before the last battle of the Revolutionary War. Even with the French general's help, he could only semi-counter extort, which these legal colleges can't help you, which all associated with them can't help you. They have religions taught specifically maintained as crime uses of each identity, the ground location. They can't take freedom of religion. People will say, "Oh, I don't want to be drugged," whereas and how they're recorded and involved uses of when the police won't follow the law because they're involved with the racketeering, with other natures of branches needing to hide their life aggressions. They're moderating people how they speak. They're preventing people to use logic that's not criminally foreign influence, as their racketeering roles. And nature's actually recorded with psychologists. There were all kinds of racketeering roles with WFSB, with CBS uses of Dr. Oz, of what's his name? The guys with psychology, all the guys with psychology, and all the other treatments of each science, especially the most sacred ones, stayed identity with the racketeering natures, incapable of defending their physical delusions and their criminally foreign influence fact treatment nature styles, and of following the rules. So they're forging names, switching names, crimes with the areas with their patients and criminals, crimes against people, using methods, faking, recorded things, just setting people up more and more. For free speech, free speech. So we have Wethersfield Pizza also involved with a Steven Stocco, Marie Vizino, her brothers, and a John Mayana with racketeering with the media, various media. FBI in New Haven also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved racketeering with databases again, wire crime methods, mail crime methods, all kinds of people on and off everywhere. You want the map, or you want to just get me responsive? Have them pick one name and sequence to branch. They use where they prevent speech, and they'll just attach you to fake speech and fake behavior, and they pretend to perceive things, and they pretend things recorded in the Britain Superior Court through time other courts. The same ones, their family members were recorded how maintained criminally foreign influence sick predators, originally and still. Now, please fix the fake news, WFSB. And why do you want me to go? You're not trying to hide anything with the your roles with the Arch Pizza, with a whole bunch of people tied with military police involved with the racketeering. With the people with that Taekwondo place, with the various natures of courts, and with more child offenders, and foreign and domestic military, deans used criminally, uses of they're keeping the campuses criminally foreign influence from off of them. We have criminally foreign influenced education of state police, roles with them with racketeering through CCSU, through a place on the Burlington Turnpike, through a whole bunch of names that's involved with recorded name stacking, through confessions from people that, how we'll examine this, from strangers. So we're examining these all have ties to the former director of the FBI racketeering, roles with child offenders, roles with what you can't pretend. And each nation has one identity of integrity. You guys have sick logic, not worse than not defended. And I'm going to teach the people logic, because we're going to make them a website, because we have to counter Facebook racketeering roles again with elections and with Russians. So someone please give me a response for the Russians that are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involve Hartford Hospital with fire departments, with this Leahy family, with various natures of judges and courts and their family members, recorded and involved with a pattern of racketeering leading up to and in the Trade Center attack, and since to hide their life progressions and their actually recorded natures. You watch how sick, fake punks interbranch are pretending that politics are theirs. Means what it doesn't. That's why we have people, the politicians too. We have to see understand individually grouped and together the crime methods and natures actually recorded originally and still. It's very simple. Religion, Phil. Value comes outside the republic. It's where to wake what's there within. Knock, knock. It's Romulus. Knock, knock. Knock, knock. It's knock, knock. No joke. Now, someone answer. Who's there? Who's there?